Good day, everyone. My name is Towser Dalal, and I'm a CFE trainer who's worked on teaching the CFE and UFE to various students at PREPFORMULA and also previously at a Big Four firm. And the purpose of today's video is to provide you information, international students with information on what exactly entails in preparing for the CFE, how international students can prepare for the exam, and to also understand the different levels that are tested during this exam. So a little bit background on myself. As I said, I've worked at Ernst & Young previously and at PREPFORMULA in helping international and Canadian students pass through the CPA Prep program and the CFE. In terms of who qualifies to write the CFE, there are a number of different bodies from Indian Chartered Accountants, Pakistan Chartered Accountants, to other designations where you are enabled to go directly and write the CFE, or they will request you to do Capstone 1 and Capstone 2 before commencing the CFE. So today we will discuss a little bit about what exactly is the CFE and how you go about facing the challenges to prepare for it as an international student. Obviously, all the comments in here are my own. These are my own interpretations. Okay, none of this is CPA Canada authorized. So this is a PREPFORMULA video. So we're going to go through the CPA prep process, what it entails, what skills are required to succeed in the CFE, how your skills as an international student will help you prepare, key success factors, and then how does PREPFORMULA help you prepare for this exam. Now, the way the exam is set up, the CPA prep process, is initially there are 4 modules. There's a Core 1, Core 2. They focus on different electives. There are essentially 6 electives: FR, Management Accounting, Assurance, Tax, Finance, Strategy, Governance. And Core 1, Core 2 will examine different electives, competencies in each of these exams. And then you also have 2 electives that they ask you to pick. So Core 1 will focus on Assurance for FR. Core 2 will do Management and Strategy. And then you can pick 2 electives. And each of those, there will be 4 electives and you can pick 2. The 4 electives are in Assurance, Finance, Tax, Performance Management. Performance Management is essentially Management Accounting, Strategy, and Governance. Each of these is roughly 8 weeks, and it culminates in a final exam that you will write. Currently, everything is being done online and is case-driven. And it's roughly 2 to 2.5 hour exams. And at the end of it, you obviously receive a pass, fail, and move on. Now, this is for everybody going through the CPA prep process. Once you clear these 4, then you go to what is called Capstone 1 and 2, which are both 8-week long courses leading up to the CFE. These are both not examined, meaning they do not have a final exam. Once you go through each of them, then you're eligible to write the 3-day CFE exam. Now, international students who have a recognized CA from another country, they normally get a direct route to the CFE. Some of you may be asked to also do Capstone 1 and 2, depends on where your CA is from. So I will explain a little bit about Capstone 1 and 2. Also, they give you the option. So even if they ask you to write the CFE directly, they may give you the option to go through Capstone 1 and 2. And Capstone 1 and 2 are more prep kind of 8-week modules to prepare you for the CFE. So what happens in Capstone 1, it's a large 30 to 50 page group assignment. You do it in groups of 4 or 5. They are assigned by CPA Canada. There's a 2-day online workshop right now, and then there are group presentations, preparations each week. And then at the end, there's a final presentation. And again, the focus is significantly on management accounting, strategy governance, but there's also elements of tax, maybe FR, finance, etc. in it. But majority is going to be on MA strategy governance. And this capstone one ties directly to day one of the CFE. Okay, the day one exam is significantly focused on MA strategy and governance. And there is no final exam for this. Roughly, students spend about 10 to 15 hours each week preparing for their assignments, group discussions, etc., or studying technical in order to prepare their assignments. Capstone 2, this is a case writing module. Essentially, over the 8 weeks, they will give you practice cases relating to each of the 3 days of the CFE. You will submit these online, they will mark it, they'll grade it, and they will give you feedback, which then you will incorporate into your studies as you prepare for the CFE. Most of the cases in Capstone 2 are past 3 years or so of CFE exams. And this is a module essentially getting you prepared for the final exam. And at the end of it, there is no pass fail, but CPA Canada will basically recommend and say you have performed at a relatively good standard to move ahead with the CFE, or if you do not perform well, then they may recommend that you defer your attempt to the following attempt. All right. So in this module, these are the 8 weeks leading up to the CFE. That's when you're just refining your case writing skills. You've done most of your technical, and now you're really zoning in on just cases that you're writing. And that's where getting either feedback if you're doing Capstone 2 from there, or if you're doing a program like PREPFORMULA, we will give you detailed feedback so you can improve with each case. The day one exam is a 4-hour one case in length, and that's an extension of the Capstone 1 case. And what they will do is they will put you in a scenario maybe 2 years down the road from the original Capstone 1 case, and they will ask you to do some various analysis, like this expansion, divestitures, or buy, sell, or whatever. And that's what they will ask you to discuss and analyze. So you have to be relatively familiar with the original Capstone 1 case, although you do not have to do Capstone 1. Day 2 is a 5-hour one case, and that case is going to focus, it has 2 parts. It has a common role, what they call. The common role is financial reporting, management accounting, and once you finish the common role, it segues into one of the 4 elective areas. The elective areas could be assurance, tax, finance, performance management. So you would pick that well ahead of the exam, and the second half of your day 2 will be solely focused. So if you picked assurance as your elective, all of the questions will be focused on assurance. There'll be topics like risk, approach, materiality, analysis, special reports, or audit reports, just different topics around there. Then you go into day 3, that's 4 hours in length, and there are 3 shorter cases, anywhere from 70 to 90 minutes each. And these are individual cases, and they are not related to each other, and they will contain elements of all 6 competencies. And each year there are 2 sittings of the exam, one towards the end of May, and the second one around the second week of September. What are the key success factors that you need to pass this exam? So there is what they call the Board of Examiners report that they publish after each CFE, several months, and in there they outline expectations, what they expect from students in terms of technical knowledge, time management, case writing, etc. And in that, so one of the keys is your technical knowledge, case writing support that you need in terms of helping you pass the exam? Consistent marking and feedback. And this is the most important. Consistent marking and feedback with how to write cases. That is what you need to work on for a significant several months leading up to the exam. Another key part of continuous improvement is debriefing. So when you get feedback, how do you interpret that feedback, and how do I improve so that my next case is 5-10% better? I am taking those positive steps forward as I write each case, and I learn from that. There's obviously dedication, hard work, managing stress, because a lot of people are working while they're doing this. So, again, if you're doing this 6 months before the exam, if you're consistently practicing, people will put in 10-15 hours a week, because it's a blend of doing your case writing and studying technical. So based on the Board of Examiners' comments and expectations, the prep formula trainers, we do understand what they want, what they expect in terms of each of the 3 days, what they are kind of expecting as a response. And so we see these patterns, expectations, and accordingly, we will guide students from day one right up till the day of the exam on how they can go about leveraging this information and preparing for the exam. At a fundamental level, the board focuses on the following over the 3 days. Can you apply your technical knowledge? Okay, so the technical knowledge, that's the foundation. And then the cases are developed in terms of creating a role, a user, and then requireds. They also call them assessment opportunities. And your answers are basically meeting the user objectives or the user needs. And that is really at a very high level what the expectation is. So using the above framework from the board, they will repeatedly pose different scenarios, and they will require you to apply your technical expertise along with what they are asking in terms of case facts and information, numbers given, for you to craft a reasonable response. There are 2 key ways to help you expedite or prepare for your technical. Now, there's a tremendous amount. If you go through the 6 competencies, in FR, there's ASPE, which is Canadian Standards, IFRS, Management Accounting, your elective area, finance, tax, etc. And on average, a student may study about 150, 200 hours. The key is we will help focus on, let us say, 80 to 90% of the topics that are likely or recur on these exams. So your goal will be, do I spend a maximum amount of time on these 80% of topics so that I'm really well versed in them, and I do not spend an inordinate amount of time on topics that may not be tested on or are not relevant. Now, how do we help you prepare for that? Given that you haven't done technical for an extended period of time, we will work with you from the beginning and outline what technical areas you need to focus on. Now, each of you will come in having certain strengths, certain backgrounds, and we will help you enhance that. Okay, we have a series of webinars live recorded that we do every week, and those will help you strengthen your technical area. So you will study your technical, and these webinars will help reinforce. They are meant to augment your preparation. So we are using the technical webinars also, and to how do they weave into case writing. So when we are doing technical webinars, we will also help you understand how the technical is used to apply in cases. That is the critical part. There's no point in knowing your technical, but saying, well, how do I apply this in the case? How much do I write? What is relevant? How do I write? Okay, these are all critical elements of preparing a reasonable response. For example, one of the biggest things in financial reporting, which is key for everybody, is students cannot make adjusting entries. That is one common, let's say, complaint from the board in every report. And one of the things that we will focus on from day one is hammer on how do you prepare journal entries or adjusting entries in financial reporting. The other element is case writing. So the major test over the 3 days is not only the variety of cases, but like I said, weaving your technical into the response. Okay, so you're given a user role, assessment opportunities, objectives, and you have to craft a response. So really just think about it this way. They're asking you to, in financial reporting, as I said, in financial reporting or assurance, they will give you required. So in financial reporting, it can be, case facts that a company is recognizing revenue in a certain way. And then they will give you information, whether it's IFRS or ASPE, as to either numbers or how that revenue is earned, etc. So then you have to apply your revenue recognition technical knowledge and discuss the various criteria, and then tell me, based on the case facts, etc., whether it's appropriately recognized, fully, partially, you need to defer some, etc., do not recognize any, whatever. And then using the numbers, make the relevant adjustments. And that is what they are looking at in terms of blending your technical with case writing. And that goes for all of the competency areas. So once you apply your technical, okay, then you need to apply the impact of this in various competencies and follow through and tell the marker how it affects the user and the objectives. So at the end of the day, your answer should basically be telling the user how do you go about meeting what the required is. So if the user has asked you, is revenue appropriate or not, in my example, you will go through the analysis technical and the numbers, and at the end you will conclude and say, based on your analysis and the case facts and your technical, revenue cannot be recognized. Here are the adjustments. And that will apply for each of the 6 competency areas. Case writing skills that you need to succeed on the exam. So once you're starting, initially a lot of you have not been exposed to any kind of case writing. So it's an extremely lengthy process, from learning how to read a case, outline, plan, writing it, and then debriefing it. And then the enabling competencies are your presentation, etc. For many, it's a totally new challenge. Okay? It incorporates preparing yourself for a multitude of scenarios, roles, users, etc. So just imagine that you're going to practice 35 cases for the exam for each of the 3 days. And each one is going to not only test different areas, but they're going to throw different case facts, different situations at you. Okay? So in order to succeed, or even to start case writing, because yes, you can start technical easily. Here's a list of all the technical topics, and you can go sequentially and start studying. But for case writing, you need somebody to say, okay, how do we go about initially with a basic case? Read, plan, outline, start writing. How do we do our quantitative analysis, etc.? All of these things. So at PREPFORMULA, that is what we will start for you from day one. You will be matched with a professional tutor one-on-one who will go through this from day one. Since many of the international students have a very sound technical base, which is what I find. You have a strong base in, you say, FR, management accounting, doing your analysis, but really need a long learning curve to go about writing cases. How do you improve? Because one of the biggest challenges is the time element. If I give you, we start with day 3 cases, an 80-minute, 70-minute, 90-minute case. If I give you 4 to 5 hours to write it, probably, after a couple of months into your case writing, you can easily do really well on that. The question is, how can you improve on all of these skills to give me a good, strong answer in the 80-minute time limit? That is why you need a good 6 months from the day 1 to build up these skills in order, for you to present a good response. And remember, you're doing 3 different days. Capstone, day 1 is a very different type of exam. Day 2 is 5 hours. It's very in-depth, challenging, required for FR, management accounting, and your role. And day 3 are, again, short questions, and they can be very time constrained. So each day provides its own challenges. So and again, how else can we help you? So besides getting you into the rhythm of how do I start, with my first case, how do I prepare? How do I read, plan, outline, and prepare a response? We will help you with that. But also, having done this, having marked this CFE cases for years, CFE started 2015, so now we have about 7 years of these exams. We know really well what it takes to hit. Essentially, you want to hit competent. So each required that they ask you in each case, they will mark you on different levels. So depending on your response, if you were not competent, so had a very generic response, reaching competent, you made a reasonable effort, to competent means it was an adequate response. Okay, so think again about that FR discussion I had earlier. Not competent would be you did not apply case facts, you did not use appropriate technical, or you didn't use the numbers and make adjustments. You would be stuck at not competent. Reaching competent means you had a reasonable discussion, you made a reasonable attempt at using numbers and case facts. And competent means you did a better than reasonable job, and you gave me a pretty solid answer. So the goal is to hit competent on as many responses. So again, having seen the last 7 years of exams, we know exactly what they're looking for to enable you to get to competent. So as we teach you these skills of case writing, we're also teaching you what we are looking for in a competent answer. So we will guide you each time you write a case and mark it, how you progress towards competent, which is critical. Some of the skills that you will bring to the table, are obviously your strength in technical, but also your ability to pick up on case writing, how to integrate technical with case writing facts. A lot of times we find, yes, in 2 or 3 months, international students are able to, build that integration into their case writing. That is how to weave the technical into case writing to respond to user needs, objectives. Because of the experience you have or whatever you have done to obtain your chartered accountancy in your home country, that we find gives you a good base to start with. Unfortunately, the longer the gap between having done your CA and today, there's a lot has changed in technical. Example, IFRS, there's a lot of changed. There's changes in Canadian tax rules. There's Canadian accounting standards. So all of these are going to be very new topics for you and will require extensive technical study and preparation. So what we will do at PREPFORMULA, individually as mentors and as a group through our webinars, etc., is help you identify these gaps. Where do I start? What is lacking? What resources can I use? how much time will I spend each week? Depending, okay, if you have 8 months to prepare or if you have 4 months to prepare, how do I go about doing that? And then there is the other act of incorporating case writing. You cannot say, I'm going to spend 3 months to learn all my FR, assurance, management, finance, etc., technical, and then start case writing. No, it has to go hand in hand. So the key is early preparation and to do both of these in tandem. So the key areas where you will be supported by PREPFORMULA individually, okay, is the person will know exactly what your needs are. A lot of those I have explained in the earlier slides. What your strengths are, what are the areas you need to focus on. So we understand that. And so we will go about giving you guidance on how do you, within your time limits, work on your technical. What do you focus on? How do you incorporate our webinars? So we will give you guidance on a custom study plan, because each one of you brings your own individual skills and strengths to your preparation based on your background. As far as case writing goes, it is very individualized. So each one of you can pick up cases a little faster, some of them not as much. So again, it's an individual process where, for example, with student A, I will, depending on how they pick up information from a case, accordingly I will pace our sessions so that they will learn to read, plan, outline, and start writing as they learn. And some will pick up a little bit faster. In a lot of other programs, it's more homogeneous, meaning you are just put into a group, I don't know whether online or in class, of 30, 50 students, how many, they'll slap on a case on the screen and say, okay, let's start reading, outlining, planning this case with 50 people in there. So you are going at the pace of the instructor, whereas here I am working at your pace to help you understand these. Because if I can do this on the first couple of cases, really zone in and help you understand the fundamental blocks of what they require from you, the board's expectations as a key, from a case writing perspective, then that'll give you a really strong foundation that you can build on going forward. So now once you write cases and you start getting good, you at the same time, when you get feedback, you don't just shelve it and write the next case. You need to debrief it. So what I want to spend a little time here is, what are some of the steps that we will really zone in helping you debrief? Because the more you tear apart your response, the more you tear apart and say, what do I not know? What do I need to do to get to the next level? So if I'm doing nominally competent or reaching competent on cases, what do I need to do to get to competent? If I'm able to do that as a student, then you're golden essentially. Okay, so in our debriefing, did you identify or address the indicators, and how do they tie into what they're asking you to do? You know, like I said, if you're hitting nominal competent, reaching competent, what do I need to do to move to the next level? You know, do I clearly identify the user role required? How did I read the case? Did I just read the case, or did I understand who's the user, what is my role, who's the client, what are they kind of asking? And then the case facts make a lot more sense. Did I identify what they were asking me, assessment opportunities or required? Like say revenue recognition, or in assurance it could be audit planning, risk approach, materiality. I mean, these are fundamental topics, you know. Or in management accounting, it could be basic management accounting, quantitative and qualitative discussions, whether it's contribution margins, you know, break-even discussion, or different things like that. And then did I support my analysis by taking into consideration the case facts that they're giving, analyzing them, and making appropriate recommendations? Again, how will we zone in and help you in doing your quantitative analysis as we help you either through our webinars or individually in case writing? Quantitatives, what are important things? Did I make appropriate assumptions? Use case facts? Did I determine the purpose and conclusion of each of my quantitative analysis? Did I repeat case facts without application? Or a lot of times people write things that are not relevant to the response. Appropriate time allocation. Quantitative analysis takes a lot of time. So we will teach you exactly how to extract the quantitative information from the case, put it into Excel, and just do a quick analysis with a quick explanation to hit competent. And that is what I'm talking about by being concise and organized. Okay? There are other things like understanding the link between my role, my case facts. So these are all case writing critical areas, especially in the beginning, that we will zone in on and help you. There are also specific scenarios. So there are some scenarios that recur. Say audit planning. There's always audit planning on day 2 on the exam. But the case facts are significantly different. So your discussion is going to be different. Okay? There are other things in cases, like when someone makes a comment, you need to pay attention to that. I know I'm going into a lot of detail of case writing, but what I want by this discussion, what I want to draw to your attention is that these are significant aspects of success on the exam, and how much effort is required in preparing for the CFE from a case writing perspective, just beyond knowing your technical. Things like in a case, there will always be comments by either the partner, the client, whoever. Did you pay attention to that? All of these things are what we have learned from the last board reports, or even prior to that, the UFE, and that is what we will keep consistently bringing in our teachings, whether they're in webinars or on one-on-one. And that is what will help you improve. So initially, this is kind of, you try and apply this, and then in your debriefing, okay, I did not focus on these areas. I should have. So on my next case, there will be some of these elements that now I will incorporate into my next case that I write. So I've given a couple of examples here of what they will try and attempt to ask you to analyze on the exam, and how we will help you focus on that. We talked about your exhibits. How were the quants relevant? Did they have a purpose? How well did you lay them out? Were they clear, etc.? And all of this comes with practice and speed. The more you do them. Plus, don't forget that literally there are no two quants that are the same. They can ask you something as trivial as outsourcing in management accounting. But if you look at, 5 CFE questions with outsourcing, each one, the way the information is presented, the way the numbers are presented is very, very different. There's always a twist. And that is, again, something that we draw your attention to, help you understand the fundamentals, so then as you read and plan, you're adequately preparing your response. Also, if you have weaknesses in certain areas, we will guide you. How do you improve upon that? For example, students in the non-assurance elective will still have to do some audit planning discussion on the exam. So one of the easier ways that I can help you is taking some older cases and guiding you in practicing those areas like risk approach, materiality, audit procedures. Writing concisely, that is one of the most critical elements of success. Saving time on the exam. Okay? Appropriate headlines, titles, etc. Nothing extravagant, but even bullet points, something. Just providing clarity to the marker and that you're communicating in a professional manner. Not having typos, language, nothing, no negative connotation in your language. These are critical elements to passing the exam also. So as an international student, you're eligible, as a recap here, you're eligible to go straight to the CFE. You have a choice of doing Capstone 1 or 2. Okay, normally the cost is $1,500 for each Capstone 1, Capstone 2, and then about the same for the CFE. Or you can just go straight for the CFE. And what PREPFORMULA does is we will help you with all 3 days of case writing preparation. So normally we will start off by saying, okay, here is the technical syllabus you need to cover. These are the resources for your technical syllabus. Okay, and a lot of times we give students, okay, start off with these fundamental technical topics, say in FR, assurance management accounting. Because the first 2 or 3 cases we do are going to focus on these areas. So you take 2 or 3 weeks and start that. Then we introduce you to your first case. The first case, we will introduce you to 1 or 2 sample webinars on case writing that you can watch on your own to give you some idea of what the case writing entails. And then we start off with the one-on-one individual case where we will sit down together online and tear apart a case, read it together if need be. How do we identify the user role required? What are the case facts? What are the case facts? Why are they given? Why are the numbers given? Where are they relevant? And so that's how we will begin our case writing journey individually. And then as you do a case with the marker, then in between you practice a couple on your own with a solution. That's where applying the debriefing will help you significantly. So you did the first case with me, maybe you did the second case with me, then you do a couple on your own to see now how you can apply those skills. Then you come back and do a third one with me, let's say, and you should start seeing an improvement, not only in terms of identifying the user role required, how you're using the case facts, understanding why they're giving you the information. Yes, time in the beginning, you will take 2 to 3x the time. So an 80-minute case may take you 3 hours. Fine. We will work on how do we condense. For example, you may write a response that is competent, but it may take you 10 lines to discuss, risk elements in an audit plan. Whereas in 2 or 3, you can adequately do the same thing for the exam. So my job will be to teach you that. Condense writing. Okay? And at each step, it will be debriefing. Focus. What did I not do correctly? The goal is I want to hit competent every time I write a response in every area. On the exam, you do not need to do that. You will not be graded at that level. But that is the goal. The day 1 exam is marked separately. So you can write the day 1 pass or fail. And then the day 2, day 3 is a separate segment. So when you get your results back, they will say pass day 1 or did not pass day 1 and pass day 2, day 3. So you could pass both, you've passed your exam. You could pass day 1 and fail day 2, day 3, which means you'll have to repeat only day 2, day 3 or vice versa. Okay? So our goal will be throughout the process, we will start by working on day 3 shorter cases and build up towards day 2, and then a couple of months before work on day 1. Your choice whether you want to do Capstone 2 or not. Capstone 2 just gives you like last 3 years of cases on your own time. They will have submission deadlines, which you will submit, give it for marking to CPA, and they will provide you with feedback. And then you can use the debriefing skills that we have taught you to help you improve. Again, that's an individual choice whether you do Capstone 2 or not. Or you can write more cases and get them marked with your mentor with PREPFORMULA. So again, PREPFORMULA is a very individualized program which works with you individually. We have trainers who will work with you whether you are overseas currently and are planning to come from your home country in 3 months and write the exam, so you can start right away. Or you could be in any province from British Columbia to the Atlantic, and we will work with the students individually in the evenings or weekends, at a convenient time, and help you prepare for this exam. If you have any questions or comments, my name is Towser Dalal, as was there on the first couple of slides. My email address is cpatowserdalal@gmail.com. You can contact me via email, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.